did get it. I had it all paper put together for you. And that's a journal entry. Really fun. Do you not have a specific folder? I don't know how many extra copies I have. Yeah, I don't have any extra copies of the notes. I'll print the homework. Just Irvin gave you a filled out copy of notes. Lorenzo, did you get a filled out copy? Oh. So once we get done with this, I'll print off the homework, okay? It's up to you. Okay, so close your Chromebooks. You don't need them open. Close them up. All right, so in our day-to-day activities, we deal with many problems that involve related items of numerical information called data. We said that statistics is just analyzing that data, okay? We also have talked about the measures of center, mean, median, and mode. Today, we're just going to focus on mean and median. And we already did an activity yesterday comparing those two, right? That was our warm-up yesterday. So this lesson is kind of just a recap of that. Should be pretty quick. So a survey was taken amongst 12 people on the number of passwords they currently have to remember. The results in ascending order. Oh, I'm going to underline that word. I love that. Right? What's that word ascending mean? Yeah, largest to smallest, right? The results in ascending or, smallest to largest, increasing, yes, are shown below. State the median number of passwords and the mean number of passwords to the nearest tenth. So suppose we can't use our calculator for this. Suppose this is a no calculator question. How are we going to do that? How are we going to find the median if this is a no calculator question? Say that again, Kimber. So there are 12 people. So what's the middle of 12? What's half of 12? So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But remember, I have to go from the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what number lies right in the middle of 2 and 3? 2.5. And remember, if you can't think of that, you just add those two numbers together and you find their average. So 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. So our median is 2.5. What if we can't use our calculator for the mean? What if we can't use our calculator for the mean? How are we going to do that? I forgot. What does the mean stand for? What's the process of solving that? We did a little blue circle activity using that same concept, and we did not use our calculator for that. How do we find the mean? Say that, Tiana, you're right. You add up all of the numbers. So 0 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 plus 6 and divide by, how many numbers did I add up? I'm adding up 12. So let's see. I try to find groups of 10. 4 and 6 is 10. 3, 6, 9, and 1 is 10. 2 and 3 is 5. 6, 7, 8, 9. So 10 plus 10 plus 9 is 29 divided by 12. Well, if you can't use a calculator, you're going to have to do this. How many times does 12 go into 29? 2 times with 24. 9 minus 4 is 5. Bring down a 0. How many times does 12 go into 50? What's 12 times 2? 12 times 2 is 24. 12 times 3? 12 times 4? 48. So 4 times with 48. That's going to give me a 2. Add another 0 to it. 12 goes into 20 only one time. So if we're rounding to the nearest tenth, without a calculator, what is our mean? Yeah, it's 2.4. I just want to make sure that if we have to do something like that, we know how to do it, okay? All right, the rest of the time we'll use our calculator. So, number 2 says, students in Mr. Okafor's class were trying to determine if people speed along a certain section of road, and they collected some data of 20 cars, and they displayed it in a table below. So remember, this is like a frequency table. So how many cars were traveling at 29 miles per hour? 1. 2 cars were traveling at 33. 4 cars were traveling at 34, and so on. We have to find the mean and the median for this data set. So when you input this, you have 129. 33 appears twice. Everybody pick up your calculators, press the stat button, edit. Everybody pick up your calculators, press the stat button. Carla, whatever that is you're doing, put it away now. 34 appears 4 times. 35 is 5 times. 36 is 3 times. 38 is 2 times. 39 is 2 times. And 54 is 1 time. So put that into your calculator under your edit list. And then we're going to hit stat calc, arrow to the right. And we need to find the mean and the median. The mean and the median. All right, so Violet, you're going to give me my mean. And Brian, you're going to give me the median when you're ready, okay? Are you ready, Brian? What did you get for the median? 35, okay. And Violet, what did you get for your mean? 35.8. That's not what I got. Yeah, I also got 36.1. I think you are missing a number, okay. So your mean is 36.1 and your median is 35. So question B says the speed limit along this part of the highway is 35 miles per hour. Based on your results from part A, is it fair to make the conclusion that the average driver does speed along this road? What do you think? How fast is the average driver going? And do you think that the average driver is speeding? Say that again, Kimber. You said not really, because why? They're only 1 mile over. Is 1 mile over the speed limit speeding? It is. Okay. Let's kind of take a look at the data. Here's what I said. Do you guys see this guy right here? What is that? It's called a what? It's called an outlier. So I'm going to tell you, first of all, that the outlier 54 is on the high side, right? And what does an outlier on the high side do? It increases the what? It increases your mean. Do you guys remember that? We did that whole effects of outliers. So the mean is 36.1 because of that outlier. So I'm going to write that. The mean is 36.1 because of the outlier. All right. If you look at how many of the drivers drove the speed limit or less? How many of the drivers drove the speed limit or less? How many is that? Say that again. Yeah, 12. 12 of the 20 drivers, 12 of the 20 drivers drove at or below the speed limit. You're amazing. Thank you so much, Mr. Urban. So probably if more of the drivers were driving the speed limit or less, 12 is more than half, right? I would say that probably the average driver does not speed. And that's what I'm going to write. The average driver does not speed. Does anyone still have their data in their calculator? Yeah. Someone go into your data and remove that 54. Let's calculate it without the outlier. Take that outlier out because we know that 54 is way higher than everything else. And then recalculate your statistics and tell me what your median is without the outlier. Without the outlier, what is your mean? 35.1. 35.1. I like that much better. What do you think? Why are you not erasing? Yeah. Okay. So remember, you want to look at things like outliers because they either drastically increase or decrease your mean. So if you have outliers, they don't always give you a clear picture. Okay. Let's go to the next page. Okay. So when conducting a statistical study, it's not always possible to obtain information about every person in the situation that the study applies. So unlike a census, which everyone is counted, sometimes you have to use a sample or a portion of the people being investigated, right? So whenever a sample is taken, it's vital that your sample is a fair sample, meaning it does a good job representing all of the people in the population. So like if I wanted to do a sampling on students taking Math 1, would it be fair if I just took a sample of you guys? Why not? Say that again. What about the other classes? This is a year-long Math 1 class. What about the students who were in a semester-long Math 1 class, right? So you have to take into consideration things like that. So we're going to determine which television programs are the most popular in a large city. And so a poll is conducted by selecting a sample of people at random and interviewing them. Outside which of the following locations would the interviewer be most likely to find a fair sample and explain your choice? So let's just talk about at a baseball stadium. If we were to stand outside of a baseball stadium and ask people like, hey, what do you watch on TV at night? What is your favorite programming? What do you think most of those people would say? Baseball or some sporting event? I agree. So they probably watch baseball or sports. Okay. What if we stood outside of a concert hall and interviewed those people? What do you think they might tell us? Music, right? So maybe they only watch music programs, or they like the arts, so like maybe they do things like, I don't know if there's PBS around here because I don't have regular TV, but the National Geographic or things like that. What about outside of the grocery store? What do you think those people would give us? Do only people that cook go to grocery stores? Who goes to a grocery store? Everybody goes to a grocery store. So pretty much everyone buys groceries. So that's a pretty good sampling. What about if you stood outside of a comedy club? Yeah. What's that show? It's like those 3 or 4 guys from New York or New Jersey. Isn't it Practical Jokers or something like that? Oh, Impractical. Yeah. Something like that, right? Because those guys are super funny. So they probably just watch comedy, maybe late night shows. Who knows, right? Late night TV. The Three Stooges. Yeah, I'll put that up there because that's the first time I've heard that one. That's excellent. Okay. So where do you think would be our best bet? Where would we get the fairest sampling? Yeah, probably outside of the grocery store. Now, would we have to check and make sure that do you guys think that we could go outside of any grocery store, or should we be more specific? More specific? Costco. Costco, you have to pay a fee, right? And Sam's Club, you have to pay a fee. So probably just any normal grocery store. All right. Exercise number 4, true wrong, is trying to determine the average height of the high school male students. So because he's on the basketball team, he uses the heights of the 14 players on the team. Calculate the mean and the median for this data set. So you're going to put this into your calculator. Put it into your calculator. And I want the mean and the median. No, it's not here. Braden, you're in charge of the mean. Ashton, you've got the median, okay? It says round any non-integer answers to the nearest tenth. So if you get a number that's got a decimal, we just want 1 decimal place. So Braden, you have the mean. Ashton, you have the median. I'm ready whenever you are. You got 75 what? For your median? I got 74.5. Oh, no, we want 1 decimal. Sorry. So 74.5. And our measurement is what? Inches. Yeah, we're talking about inches. Okay, Braden, you ready? What'd you get for your mean? 74.6. And our measurement is inches. Okay, yesterday we did an activity with inches. I think it was yesterday. How tall is 6 feet in inches? Like 72. So that means that the average high school male is at least 6 feet tall. Is that right? Okay. So is the data set above a fair sample? Why or why not? What do you think, Carla? Is the data set that we used a fair sample? Why or why not? You play basketball. What's a typical occurrence of basketball players, especially male basketball players? They're what? Huh? What about male basketball players? What do you know about guys on the basketball team? They're typically taller, right? Yeah. Good job. Yeah, typically basketball players are taller. So we're like interviewing a tall population already. So that's probably not the best fit, right? Basketball players are taller. So he needs to choose a different sampling. It's not a fair sample. Okay. Last question that we have, number 5, Mr. Petrovic's advanced calculus course has 8 students who recently took a test, and their grades are as follows. We have to calculate the mean and the median, and then we have to determine what is an outlier, and we're going to prove it using how we know how to calculate outliers. So the mean is going to be calculated from Matthew. Matthew, you're going to do the mean for me. And the median is Seamus. Matthew and Seamus. Those are the sticks that I picked. So we have 8 students, 8 numbers that you're putting into your data set. 8 numbers. So Matthew, you ready? Yeah. What did you get for the mean, Matthew? 81.75. That's what I got. 81.75. I'm going to put percent because we're going to assume that their test scores are a percentage. You ready, Seamus? 86 for the median. 86%. 86%. Okay. Which score do you think is the outlier? Say that again, Braden. I think that was you who said that. Yeah, I agree. I think that 45 is the outlier. So I think that 45 is the outlier, but we have to check. So how do we check for outliers? Well, our outlier is on the low side, right? So the first thing that we need is the IQR. That's my interquartile range, which happens to be Q3 minus Q1. So what is Q3? 90 what? 91 minus Q1. So 91 minus 80 is 11. So my IQR is 11. Okay. Since we think our outlier is on the low side, right? We have to do the Q1 minus 1.5 times our IQR. So Q1, you told me, was 80 minus 1.5 times 11. What does that give me? 63.5. So that means that any number that is below 63.5 is an outlier. So is 45 an outlier? Yes. And we proved it, okay? Question C is about looking at the mean and the median and determining which one does a better job of telling how well the students did on the quiz. So if we take out the outlier, if we get rid of that outlier, our test scores are 78, 82, 85, 87, 89, 93, and 95. So if we remove that outlier, which one is the better value? Well, what is the median? What's the middle number here? 87. Which one is closer to that? Yeah. So your median would be the better one. Your median is the better representation because the low outlier decreased the mean, right? That really low outlier decreased your mean. So your median would be your better representation. Your median would be your better representation.